Good afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Actors Area. I'm your host, Sean Robert Grant. Excited to be here. Very excited to be here. And the reason why I'm so excited is because I'm so appreciative of everything that is transpiring in my life right now as an actor. I'm so appreciative of all that I've been able to do and accomplish that allows me to be in a position to be the very best, not only performer, but human being. And I just believe in myself and my power more so than I ever have. And I'm excited about that because that allows me to really dive into the treasure chest of divinity and see what I can come out with that can help all actors, actresses, and performers. So we're going to get right into it today. And so one of the things that really kind of gets under my skin, that kind of annoys me a bit, is that Hollywood sometimes has the tendency, actually all the time, let's just be honest, has a tendency to really only show you the glitz and glamour side of success. And what I mean by that, they only show you the actors walking the red carpet. They only show you the actors receiving their awards. They only show you the actors on their getaway romantic vacations, but they never show you the grime, okay? And it's the grime that, to me, makes or breaks a successful actor or actress, right? They never tell you about this. So what I like doing is I like to see what someone's backstory is, because, I mean, as actors and actresses, that's all we're dealing with for the most part is backstories of characters. And so one individual that stood out to me a lot was Lilly Reinhardt. And if you don't know who she is, she plays Betty Cooper on Riverdale. And so the thing that stood out to me the most is that she suffers from anxiety, right? And so there were times where her anxiety was so bad that she couldn't do certain auditions, or she would get into auditions and she would just completely blow them, right? So what's interesting is that David Rappaport, who cast basically most of the CW shows, he talked about how when she first came in to read for Riverdale, she didn't really do a great job, right? But something told him that he needed to see her again. And when she came back in, she absolutely just blew it out the water. And to me, you know, actors need to hear that. They need to know that you can go in and completely bomb an audition and all of a sudden your life's not over, right? What she did is just kind of shows you that there's resiliency there. There's perseverance. There's like, okay, let me get my shit together and then come back and really show who I am as a performer. And it landed her this role, you know. So what I want to take from that is that, you know, it's not always you having to go somewhere and be perfect, right? Because we really kind of get caught up in that idea that we have to be perfect, right? And it's not the case. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be somebody who is all of a sudden, you don't have to be this individual. You don't have to be this person who is always on 100, right? We're human beings. We're emotional beings. So we can drop to 50. You know, we can drop to 78. We can, you know, go to 105, you know, from on the emotional scale. So it's okay to do that. And here's why. It kind of leads into today's episode. And that comes down to succeeding as an actor one day at a time. If you notice, you listen to this podcast on a regular basis, I never start with feeling or saying how I feel other than I'm happy to be here. I always say that because I mean it. But today I went into a bit of a tangent, allowing you to know what was going on inside of me emotionally and why I feel like I'm succeeding every day as an actor, as a performer, as a teacher, as a coach, as a writer, right? And it comes down to realizing that it just takes one day at a time. Right? It just takes one day at a time. So I also teach life mastery and manifestation and things like that. And the number one problem that gets people all the time is when they get to a place where they start looking too far ahead. So my job is to say, take it all the way back to the present moment, right? Take it all the way back to the present moment. As a matter of fact, if you have to look in the past, only look for things that you can learn from, and only look for things that can put you into a place or a position that is going to thrust you forward. So that means looking at past roles that you've booked and you've done well in, right? Or, really taking a lesson and some wisdom from a mentor that you had that really kind of helped you to take your career up a few notches. But the truth of the matter is, it only has to be moment to moment, day to day, right? I put one day at a time in the title, but it really is just moment to moment. If you stay in the moment, what you're going to realize is that everything begins to fall into place, because you know what happens from moment to moment? You can see everything that needs to be seen right at that moment, okay? And what does that mean? That means if an audition is the only thing happening at this moment, that's all you need to focus on. If a role you've booked is happening at this moment, that's all you need to focus on. See, success gets clipped when we find ourselves either looking ahead or looking backwards, right? And I used to always look ahead. That's one mistake that I made that I do my best to share with other actors, that they don't make that same mistake. And that mistake was always looking ahead to see, okay, what's the next job I'm going to book? When in actuality, all I needed to do was be in a position. All I needed to do was be in a position to basically just focus on what was happening right now and not be so caught up in what job was coming next, right? Once I was able to do that, then from that point on, I found myself being more at peace, not being as nervous, not being as anxious, not being so desperate to book anything, because the only thing that existed was right now, right? So my intention here is to show you how to do that same thing, right? Don't look at your career as something you've got to think about 10 years down the road. Look at it at what's going on right now, right? Look at what's going on right now. And if you don't have anything going on actively as an actor, what can you do to have something going on to keep you still in the arena of acting? That's like reading books, reading articles, listening to podcasts, listening to videos, possibly going to class if it's a right fit, meeting up with your actor friends, talking about their careers. Like, what can you do right now? Because it's right now that matters. It's right now that really allows you to move into the future with power, okay? And once you do that, that frees you from ever feeling like you have to get ahead of yourself, right? And basically that's what it comes down to, is just that simple. Take your career from thinking about, I'm going to succeed this year. It's funny because I said that on the other podcast, but I'm telling you something different. As opposed to feeling like you're going to succeed this year, know that you're going to succeed every single day, one day at a time, moment to moment. You wake up, I'm going to succeed in this moment, right? Everything, not just acting, but life, I'm going to succeed. And then once you get in bed, look back on it, celebrate what you've done, and know that you're a success. Because guess what? If you still feel good about the craft, if you still feel positive about the craft, if you've learned something about the craft, you've succeeded on that day. And it's just getting into the right frame of perspective. And I promise you, this will pay off in the short term as well as the long term. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. It is an absolute pleasure. Take care. Have a great weekend.